Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Charles Coachman, and this is Bay Area Let's Talk. Bay Area Let's Talk. Get that up there, off there real quickly. Bay Area Let's Talk. So, has anything happened at all this week that we should be aware of? I am thinking there may be a couple things that have happened this week. But we've talked about most of the things that have really affected our country, have caused a little bit of ire around here. Pop this in. My name is Charles Coachman. You can text me at 408-439-0766, or you can email me at bayarealetstalk@gmail.com. If you'd like to do that, we'd sure love to hear from you. And let's see if we can get some more information up there. We are using StreamYard as our platform to speak on. And if you are interested in that, I'd be glad to get you some more information if this is something that you might be interested in doing for yourself and sharing around the country, around the world, actually. I've spoken to people in Australia, Denmark, New Zealand, France. This is a great platform. Again, this is StreamYard.com. If you would like more information, I'd be glad to give you a link for that. So I just wanted to kick things off today. As I mentioned, hey, we've had a little bit of news going on around here. I guess the biggest thing would be, the biggest two events this week would be the elections down in Atlanta or down in Georgia. And then what followed up on Tuesday as they were doing the certification of the victory by Joe Biden. The victory by Joe Biden and the Trump rally that went on, and then the protests and breaking into the Capitol building, which happened following the rally. Now, Democrats have decided, and our very own Nancy Pelosi has decided, that we need to impeach President Trump. We need to impeach him on his way out the door because he's a horrible man. The orange man that we have been protesting for 5 years. Impeached him once. Didn't remove him from office. But we need to impeach him again. Or we need to grab the 25th Amendment and have him pulled out of office immediately. Well, I'm thinking that, you know what? Let's leave this alone. Let's finish this off. It will not do any good for the Democrats to try and impeach him for what happened on Tuesday. He did come in and give a concession speech yesterday. And that is probably where we ought to leave it alone. Nancy Pelosi has been doing things to try and get Trump out of office since before he took office. And now it's time to leave this alone. Now it's time to leave it. Stop kicking the dead dog. He's going to be in office for 2 more weeks. Less than 2 weeks. January 20th is Inauguration Day for Joe Biden. It doesn't mean that the questions about this election were answered to satisfaction of Republicans or conservatives or to independents. because we had a big part of the nation that said, we don't believe what happened. So, what happened on Tuesday was terrible, or Wednesday was terrible. We never want to see that again. But out of 75 million people that voted for our president, we may have had a couple thousand people that reacted badly and stormed the Capitol building. Now, as we can see from the tape, some of them were let in. Why? Why did that happen? We know that a couple of the police, the Capitol Police Chief, and other folks related to the Capitol Police have been relieved or have retired. We had a woman shot and killed by the Capitol Police. Not that she was attacking anybody. Not that she was armed and was going to come after someone. She was shot. Now that's going to have to go through whatever type of incident reporting and case surveillance and whatever the Capitol Police are going to do, or whatever the Attorney General is going to do, or whatever the Washington, D.C. District Attorney is going to do, whoever will be investigating this, and they'll have to decide, was this killing legal? Was she creating an imminent threat to the people in the Capitol building? I don't know. From the surveillance film or from filming that was done there, or videotaping that was done from the scene, it didn't look like she was an imminent danger to anyone. But she herself was in imminent danger, as we saw the gun being fired. Now, the policeman that did the firing, he has been suspended or laid off at this time. And they'll do their investigation. They'll figure out what happened. And we expect an honest investigation like we expect on any type of shooting and where a person was killed. And so it turns out that 5 people actually died, and one of them was one of the Capitol Hill police. And every life that was lost there is a terrible thing. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. A very sad day. But Mrs. Pelosi, I would ask you and your fellow Democrats to not be looking to impeach the president. Let this alone. Let this alone. Let the president spend his last 2 weeks in office and move on. If you decide to impeach, you have said that you want a peaceful transfer of power. I don't believe you'll get a peaceful transfer of power if you decide that you're going to impeach the president and try and roughshod him out of the White House. That would not be the right thing to do. It was bad enough when you tore up his speech last year. in the chambers, in a place where the president was invited to speak by you, and then you rip up his speech. Enough is enough. Let's move on. Let's get this thing going and move on to the next president. Now, you know, California is not all Democrat. There were people that were there from California at that protest, and they wanted to protest because they believe that they have a right to be heard. And so we had people here from the Bay Area that were there. And they said this crowd was a big crowd and they wanted to listen to the president. The group that broke off and then went into the Capitol building were people that wanted to do damage. Maybe we have forgotten about the damage that we have seen all across this country for the last 8 months. Lives that have been taken, police that have been attacked, buildings that have been burned down. But those were peaceful protesters, we were told. Stores that were robbed. People killed. Now, unfortunately, we were at the seat of power when this happened this week. But we were at the seat of power in some of the cities that were robbed and vandalized and burned down. We've got to understand that. People have a right to protest. They do not have a right to break in like they did this week at the Capitol building, unless you are ready for war. And we're not. There are people that are very upset about this election and don't believe that it was handled in a proper manner. And they have a right to be heard. And I think in the local news, and you'll be able to find it in the newspapers, there's an article by Michael Cabanatuan, if that's how you say your name. He is reporting that at least several members that supported the Trump campaign were there in Washington, D.C., and he had an opportunity to speak to some. They were not part of the people that broke in to the Capitol building. And it looks like almost everybody that was at that rally is now being blamed for those that broke in to the Capitol building. As far as most could say, this was a peaceful protest. A peaceful protest. Just like they were for the last 8 months. Think about it, folks. Think about it. What has happened over the last year? This has been building up for 5 years. Because of all the divisive rhetoric. Let's put an end to it now. Let the transformation of power, the transference, the peaceful transfer of power to occur on January 20th. Let's let it happen and call it a day. Do not seek to impeach the president. 75 million people support him. And most would continue to support him. Wednesday was a horrible day. it was not the worst day that we've seen in our history, as we've heard some say. Well, getting back to California budget. Governor Newsom says we're in great shape. He's got a $227.2 billion fiscal blueprint. Immediate plan for action. And we are going to be able to bring ourselves out of this lockdown that we've been in and start putting things back together. There is a lot of money being pushed around. $2.4 billion in Golden State stimulus. $4 million low-income Californians to help them out with rent, child care, and avoiding eviction, including extending an eviction moratorium. $2 billion to go to classrooms and to help get our schools set up for kids so that kids can get back to school. $575 million in business grants and $71 million in fee waivers for small businesses. $1.1 billion for Medi-Cal, $786 million in new money for the University of California and California State University systems. Why? 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 $1 billion for wildfire resiliency and emergency response. We are said that we're going to be going through a booming economy again here fairly rapidly. The headline for this article is California Budget from Boom to Bust and Back to Boom, written by John Woolfolk. One of the things we don't mention are all the unfunded liabilities for the California state pensions that just aren't there. The money is just not there. So I want to hear really what is actually going to happen during this time. How are we going to cover everything? Or are we just giving up? Because there is no way that we have a booming economy. There is no way. And we got an article by Marissa Kendall, Bay Area News Group. Bay Area homeless camps. Now, we thought that the homeless, we were going to get all that settled. And yes, we are putting some money towards the homeless. But one of the big problems here is that a lot of these homeless camps, there are so many fires. And we're not hearing enough about it. And we are not taking care of these people. Hey, we can throw money at this, but we need to find solutions. We need to find solutions to help end homelessness in California. Easy for others to say. But we have to figure this out. We have to figure this out and end the homeless problem here in California. Got a couple other things I want to check out, but I want to check messages here real quick. Ron Goodwin, how you doing? I know you're a big Biden supporter, and I respect that. He got lost over it. He lost. Get over it. The truth is more people. Hey, Ron, I don't know if he did. I don't know if he did. We know that there were problems in Pennsylvania. We know that rules were switched throughout the U.S. and that we're going to have to deal with. Hopefully, they'll decide to investigate and find out what truly happened, because we have a constitution and we have constitutional ways that we are to handle things, and this wasn't handled properly. So we will see. Mark Rodriguez, great to see you, my friend. Sad loss. Yeah, he only invited a riot at the Capitol building, Ron. He did not tell people to go and riot. He did say protest. And then some of them got out of hand. I understand. Hey, I understand. But people think that just because we supported, and those that supported Trump, we're all bad. Well, we're not. We have different ideas on how to run a government. We have different ideas on how to do things. And we're going to deal with it. And we've got a transfer of power coming on January 20th. Have a great weekend. Love your passion. Maybe you should consider running for office. I'm too old. I'm going to let the youngsters come up and do that. And we'll see what happens in the future. Ron, you have a great weekend too. Hey, one of the things that we need to talk about is the pandemic and the migration from California. Our governor was saying that we are going to be having a booming economy pretty soon, and we have got the money to do everything that we need to. But the real news is that we are losing people from California. Californians are moving to different states. 60% of the movers this week were moving people. 60% of the moves from within California were moving to other states. They were going outbound. 64%. Places with the big outflows, and listen to the names of these states: Illinois, New York, New Jersey, and Maryland. Think about that. What do they have in common with California? Biggest inflows: Idaho, Arizona, South Carolina, Tennessee, and North Carolina. Think about that. Think about that. What do they have in common? They have jobs. They have lower taxes. Let's understand what we're doing. And let's understand how our U.S. is being reshaped. We have to watch what's going on. We have to watch what's going on with California. We have to see what's going on with our jobs. We've had a couple of very huge companies within the last couple of weeks say that they're moving to Texas. They are job providers. We're talking about Hewlett-Packard. We're talking about we're talking about Tesla. We're talking about Oracle. Those are good companies. Those are job providers, and they're leaving California. Why is that? We have to understand it. Hey, I like to keep up on sports too. And one of the sad things that I saw today was that K-Fox, FM radio station located here in San Jose, will no longer be carrying the Sharks broadcast. Man, whenever I was driving from different parts of the Bay Area, I always knew I could tune in to K-Fox and pick up the Sharks from wherever it was, from wherever in the Bay Area. And I have been, and my family has been huge Sharks fans. And we have now lost our voice. We've lost our broadcast channel. And that's a sad day for those of us in San Jose that have listened to the radio for years and years. 2001, 20 years ago. That's how long K-Fox has carried the Sharks. 20 years. It's all going online now. Sad time. K-Fox, we're going to miss you. Play that rock and roll. Hey, a big highlight for the Bay Area. Young man, Alabama running back, Najee Harris, Antioch's own, won the Doak Walker Award for being the best running back in college football. The best running back in college football. Probably should have won the Heisman. But Najee Harris, congratulations. Congratulations. You are going to do well. And what did he tell everybody? I thank my mom. I thank my mom. She has been my biggest cheerleader. So, hey, Najee Harris, you have made the Bay Area proud. And congratulations to you for this day and for your future. Sad day in sports. A sad day in sports. No, I'm not talking about the Sharks anymore. The guy that most of the Bay Area loved to hate, especially Giants fans. Hall of Fame manager Tommy Lasorda died yesterday at the age of 93. Died peacefully at his home. And I am a diehard A's fan. And I was not a Dodger fan at all. Not a Lasorda fan. But you know what? He loved his team. He was passionate about what he did. I saw some of the funniest things that I have ever seen in baseball watching Tommy Lasorda. But in the bottom of the ninth, in the first game of the World Series in 1988, he sent up gimp-kneed Kirk Gibson to the plate to face the best pitcher in baseball, best reliever in baseball, Dennis Eckersley. And Kirk Gibson took him deep to the right field fence. I'll never forget that. Jose Canseco didn't even run back for the ball because it was gone. He just started running to the infield. And Kirk Gibson started giving it this all the way around the bases. And that is what I'll remember about the last time that I saw Tommy Lasorda. He was a good person for baseball. He loved baseball. He loved his Dodgers. He always claimed that he bled Dodger blue. Tommy Lasorda, we're going to miss you. we are going to miss you, no matter whether we loved you or not, whether we hated you when you were managing the Dodgers, and we love to boo you. But you were good for the sport. God bless you. Rest in peace. Oh, let's see. What have we got going on? I'm a music fan too, and today's the day in music. 1935. The king of rock and roll was born. Tupelo, Mississippi. Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley. My favorite rock guitarist, one of them I should say, but was part of my favorite rock and roll band, American rock and roll band, Robbie Krieger of the Doors. It's his birthday too. Robbie Krieger, you put out some sensational music. The first album of the Doors was released this week in 1967. And Robbie Krieger wrote the best song from that. Light My Fire. He wrote some unreal songs, and he played a guitar that I just loved. I loved those beats that he had. I loved the riffs that he had. Robbie Krieger, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. On this date in 1993, the Elvis Presley stamp was released. In 1968, on this date, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay was released by Otis Redding. He never got to see its release because he had died weeks before in a plane crash. 1974, Kiss signed their first recording deal. Fabian, the 50s and 60s star, was awarded a gold star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2002. 2015, Andre Crouch died of complications at the age. Gospel singer Andre Crouch died at the age of 72. And then I want to end this week, our first week of broadcast. I want to end it remembering one of the Bay Area's greatest bands, which isn't listed, Quicksilver. Quicksilver Messenger Service. This album was unreal, introduced to me by my late cousin Tommy when I was in 6th grade. It had a Bo Diddley song that took the whole side of one album, 25 minutes, 22 seconds. Who Do You Love? It was called the Who Do You Love Suite, but it was Who Do You Love, When You Love, Where You Love, How You Love, Which Do You Love, and Who Do You Love Part 2. One of the greatest sides of rock music that you could ever listen to. And most people have no idea who they are. They were a fantastic group of guys. John Cipollina, Gary Duncan, David Freiberg, and Greg Elmore. That was a Bay Area Fab Four. So I hope everyone has a great week. I'm going to take a look at the messages because I do have some time. Tommy was from Norristown, PA, Hall of Fame manager. Yes, he was. Did you say music? Mark, I love music. Ronnie Goodwin. He may have run because he couldn't stand my passion. I have never been to Graceland, and someday I will. Mark Gassert getting me some coaching from Coachman. Hey, guys. And hey. I'm glad that you guys were here. Anyway, that is the end of this week's, the first week of Bay Area Let's Talk. If you liked the message, if you didn't like the message, don't worry about it. But if you liked it, share it out, because there are people out there that need to hear this and would enjoy hearing it. And I enjoy doing it. But for this week, Friday, January 8th, we are signing off. There is a link somewhere. There's a link somewhere. We were laughing about that earlier today. Tower of Power was one of the monster bands, a Munster mash horn band. You bet. They are one of the top bands from the Bay Area. They're in the top 20 of Bay Area bands, because we had a lot of awesome music here. Had the Grateful Dead. We had Creedence Clearwater. We had Jefferson Airplane. We had Country Joe and the Fish. More recently, well, at least in the last 3 decades, Huey Lewis and the News, Santana, Journey. We had some unreal music here. We've had Boss Gags here for years and years and years. And it used to be that Boss Gags would hold a special performance on New Year's Eve. Unfortunately, couldn't do it this year. But we've had some wonderful music that emanated from the Bay Area. And so we've had a proud history. The music now is pretty much out of my league. I let my kids deal with it. But for the music that came in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even the 80s, I loved it. And I was a huge supporter and went to some of the greatest shows ever in the Bay Area. And got to enjoy that music. Well, everyone, it's Friday, January 8th. I'm thanking everyone for tuning in. If you would like, I'd encourage you to share this out. Sharing is caring, as our friend Ken Walls likes to say. And as my buddy Mark Gassert likes to say. And as my buddy Mark Rodriguez always says, peace and love. We're all there. And then there is E40. E40 is more of my children and my nephews' time. But a lot of people love him. And he's at all the sporting events. We see him at the 49er games all the time. Have a great evening. Have an awesome weekend. And if you are up in the morning, we'll be reading from the Bible in the morning, just to be well-rounded. Have a great evening, and look forward to seeing you next week. Bay Area Let's Talk. Peace.